Thank you, Dean King, for that very warm introduction. And greetings, graduates, family, faculty, loved ones. Congratulations to all of you on this solemn yet very joyful rite of passage. I have to say, looking out at you, you're much better looking than my class of '72, which is probably not high praise, but it's a good-looking class. My hope for all of you is that this day is a day you will always remember. And why not? Crystal Carolina blue skies outside, surrounded by loved ones, family, classmates, faculty. It's a great day. You know, it's an important day, and it's tangible recognition of years of study, of sacrifice, and achievement for the graduates. All of the folks who have supported you are in the room today and couldn't be here as well. You know, I am honored that you have invited me to share this moment with you. I cannot tell you how proud I am to return to my alma mater, share a few thoughts with you. It's always good to come home to Chapel Hill, trust me. And the years that pass in front of you will be all the more eventful when you do return. You know, this is a hallowed place for me, full of memories and meaning. It was a very important stop on my life journey. I left this place, like you will, young, full of hope and ambition, and armed with an outstanding education. I have to say, what I have learned has served me well. It's really been the foundation of my life and my career, and may it prove to be the same for all of you. Let me just pause for a second and do a special shout out to all the moms here today, because it is Mother's Day, so let's give them a round of applause, shall we? How many moms do we have in the room today? Just raise your hand. That's fantastic. These flowers are all for you, okay? You can't take it with you, but just enjoy them while you're here. I will tell you, soon-to-be grads, that the one thing you will always have in life is Mom looking over your shoulder. And by the way, that's a good thing. Just a personal example. Back when we bought the Food Network, my mom, who, by the way, I'm going to have dinner with tonight up in Pilot Mountain, North Carolina, just up the road. It's where I grew up. Now I'm looking forward to it. She called me right after we bought the Food Network, and she said, you know, I've been watching this thing all day long, and I've yet to see one show about biscuits and gravy. So when we brought on Paula Deen with lots of butter, my mom called me and said, son, you got this thing figured out. You know, I thought long and hard about what I was going to share with you today. I thought about talking about career and success. I thought about talking about the challenge of being a journalist or a communications professional in this age of social media and ubiquitous instant information. I even thought about sharing my own life story and the many experiences I've had leading up to this moment standing before you here today. But I decided, quite frankly, none of that would do at all. Instead, I want to talk to you about some of my favorite movies. Did he just say movies? Yeah. Well, I was a film major here. I'm talking about, by the way, some of the best motion pictures of all time, or at least in my opinion, and in the opinions of others, they are some of the best motion pictures of all time. Now, these are not only films of artistic achievement of the highest order, but I think they offer us profound truths and life lessons that we can draw inspiration from. But I'll let you be the judge, okay? Film number one, Frank Capra's classic, It's a Wonderful Life. Black and white, it's the best. Released in 1946. We all watch it every Christmas. We've all seen it. You know the story. Desperate, George Bailey wishes he'd never been born, and his guardian angel Clarence grants him the wish. Then George learns firsthand what the world would be like without him. Clarence, of course, is the film's conscience, and he delivers the moral of the story, if you will, with this line. Strange, isn't it, he asks? Every man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? It's really a film about the importance of relationships. It's about caring for others. It's about recognizing your own self-worth and value as human beings, no matter what your station in life or how your career progresses or evolves, or in some cases doesn't. You know, George discovers the truth in the end the very hard way. And we all cry, and we know that what he found out is truth. Because Capra's film inspires us to nurture the significant relationships in our lives. Care deeply for those closest to you. You'll actually find you've expanded your capacity to care for others. But there's another message as well, a practical message about career, about ambition, and about expectations. It's about all of us with our ambitions and our hopes, about being focused less on material things and more on what's truly important: family, friends, classmates, happiness. We identify with George because he's us and we're him. We're tempted to think about our careers and how we mold them around what we have sometimes: a new car, a house, financial security. And some will do whatever it takes to get those. We tend to think of our careers in terms of advancement, of climbing the ladder, of rising to the top, right? Now listen, those in and of themselves aren't bad things, but Capra reminds us they are not the end all, the be all. They don't necessarily lead to a wonderful life. Meaningful relationships are truly what's important. Movie number 2, another classic, The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, released in 1972. As a matter of fact, I saw this movie downtown when we still had a theater downtown. For many, maybe the best movie of all time. That's open for debate. I happen to agree. I want to draw your attention to one poignant line from the film, and that line is, "Leave the gun, take the cannoli." Fat Clemenza had just had the Godfather's bodyguard executed as an act of vengeance for his betrayal, remember? Remember his line? "Paulie, you won't hear from him no more." Well, earlier that day, as he left home, making sure, by the way, that his driver didn't run over his kids, Clemenza promised his wife that, "I'll bring home the cannoli for dinner." All in a day's work, right? Well, now there are two schools of thought about what The Godfather, the movie, is all about. Some think it's an epic tale about strong families, about loyalty, about love, about respect, commitment, and dedication. Others think it's a film about organized crime, violence, ruthless power. Human life has little value depending on which side of the mattresses the characters are on in this movie. You know, the awesome power of this film is it's actually about both. The dichotomy between the familial love, which we can identify with, and the violence which we wholeheartedly reject is what draws us in as an audience. We're empathetic and we're repulsed all at the same time. The conflict is irresistible and intriguing. Virtue and vice are intertwined so tightly that it's very difficult for us as the viewer to unravel the two. But in 6 little words, "Leave the gun, take the cannoli," Coppola captured the essence of the film. Separate vice from virtue. Leaving the gun and taking the cannoli, as it were. Good practical advice for Mafia Hitman, but actually I think a deeper lesson in life for us as well. Take the cannoli. Leave the bad things behind. Hold on to what nurtures. For example, keep learning. Never stop. Do not let your desire to learn stop today as you graduate. Never stop learning. Appreciate art. Enjoy music. Immerse yourselves in great literature. Read the classics and travel. Travel, travel, travel. Experience and understand other cultures and tradition. Develop an interest in your community, beyond your work, beyond your career. Help build a habitat home. Rescue animals. Come to the aid of the less fortunate. Become an advocate for women and children at risk. Support the arts. Volunteer to work and clean up a park. Extend yourself. Get involved. It will give you a valuable perspective. It'll keep you grounded. Take the cannoli. Okay, film number 3. Raising Arizona. Direction and screenplay by Joel and Ethan Coen, released in 1987. I hope you've seen it. A real cult favorite, especially if you're a fan of the Coen brothers, which I am. There was a lot of controversy about this film when it was first released. A dark comedy, this film really drew the ire of advocacy groups who said it made light of a growing and very serious national issue, specifically child abduction. Now, given the horrific news from Cleveland last week and the epidemic number of abduction cases that began plaguing the U.S. about the time this film was released, the criticism, I think, was understandable and in a sense may even justifiable. The persistent problem of child abduction is a blight on the American psyche. It's an awful symptom of how disconnected we have become from one another and as a community of human beings. How, we ask ourselves, can this sort of thing happen and go undetected for so long? It boggles the mind. It makes us question the times in which we live. But the artistic irony of Raising Arizona, however, is in the course of this masterful storytelling, the movie ultimately is about doing the right thing. There's redemption at the end when Hi and Ed, and that's short for Edwina, realize the error and folly of their ways. They actually return Nathan Jr. to his home, and in true Hollywood fashion, all is forgiven. But there's one scene in the movie that I think particularly is relevant to this group of journalists and mass media graduates. Appropriately enough, it's when reporters gathered at the Arizona household are peppering Nathan Arizona with questions about his son Nathan Jr.'s abduction. One of the reporters asked, "Sir, it's been rumored that your son was abducted by UFOs. Can you comment on that?" By the way, I pray that's a sentence none of you ever utter. Now, I was in the TV news business long enough to know that the Coen brothers drew a very fine line between fact and fiction in that one scene. Now, I'm not going to name any names or point any fingers directly, but some of the reporting I've seen as of late, especially during the Boston Marathon tragedy, has, let's just say, left a lot to be desired. There's a lot of jumping to conclusion, lots of uneducated opinions, and inane commentary. I am looking to all of you and counting on you for a higher standard. Now, remember Nathan Arizona's sad plea in response to that reporter's question? If you saw the movie, his response was, "Please don't print that, son. If his mama reads that, she's just going to lose all hope." So I ask you, as future journalists, do the right thing. Do the right thing in your career as journalists and communicators. Do the right thing in the lives that you live. Do the right thing in the choices you make. Ask yourself, is it right? Is it fair? Is it just? And strive to be authentic. And being authentic means having integrity. Having integrity is the whole package, especially in the future world of journalism and communications. All right, film number 4, Citizen Kane, voted by the American Film Institute as the #1 film of all time. Citizen Kane was written and directed by Orson Welles in partnership with Herman Mankiewicz. It's about a fictional newspaper publisher who rose to fame, fortune, and power during the yellow journalism period in the early 20th century. While fictional, it was a thinly veiled commentary on the life and career of William Randolph Hearst. It was released in 1941, and it is a riveting film. The script is flawless, the cinematography breathtaking, the action and acting extraordinary. And of course, the story is timeless. That movie's life lesson, beware of unbridled hubris. Hubris, it's a Greek word. It means extreme pride and unrestrained arrogance. You know, the word often implies a loss of contact with reality, an overestimation of one's capabilities. For Charles Foster Kane, the main protagonist in the film, his hubris is captured throughout, but I think is best epitomized when he declares in dialogue to his wife that people will think what I tell them to think. You know, I've known a lot of Charles Foster Kanes in my life, and I've seen many a career shot down by hubris. This is a malady I fear that's most prevalent among truly gifted young people, young journalists, potential journalists like you. Now, I'm not saying that we should live our lives full of self-doubt or second-guessing, but I do believe there's tremendous value in humility. There's value in being circumspect. There's value in being able to at least consider the possibility that we might be wrong, that we might not always have the right answer. I think this is extremely important for journalists. So I encourage you, be on the lookout for hubris. Be on guard for its warning signs. A closed mind, an inflated sense of self, unyielding self-righteousness. They're an anathema to success and a truly contented life. And by the way, if you haven't seen the film Citizen Kane, do. And remember one word, Rosebud, okay? Film number 5, the last one, is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This film is a treasure trove of philosophic nirvana, rich with wisdom for the truly laid back, and it sounds like we have a few in the audience. Clearly not the best film ever made, but this is a gem from the fertile mind of John Hughes, who directed and wrote the awesome screenplay. It was released in 1986. It became a classic. And Ferris Bueller gives us impeccable advice, doesn't he? He counsels, quote, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it." Of course, everything goes downhill from there, but I think Ferris's heart was in the right place. Hughes, through Ferris Bueller, reminds us to be in touch with our inner self. It's the essence of who we are. Whatever our faith or discipline, we do well to attend to the spiritual side of our existence. Your spirituality, hone it, take care of it. You know, there's great peace and contentment in contemplation and being able to center ourselves. Stay in touch with your core. It's what makes you, you. That's the life source of your greatness as an individual, as a human being, and as a person. So get in touch with your inner soul and allow that person to thrive and grow. Now, whatever you do, don't wreck the Ferrari. Finally, let me leave you with this. You are all entering the next chapter of a fantastic life, and you're in tremendous position to excel in this life. Why? Well, because you just happen to, in a few minutes, be a graduate of the University of North Carolina, the best university on the face of the earth, am I right? You're well prepared for the future, which is really about taking lots of information, lots of facts, lots of details, and editing them down to precise, usable, and focused takeaways, information, and yes, stories. The world, in my opinion, belongs to you, the editors of our future. When you think about it, just about everything in life is edited, isn't it? This program today is edited. This building was edited. The streets on which you came over today are edited. The menu where you ate lunch today was edited. Curation and the ability to take complex and sometimes difficult information and get it down to something that people can understand is very powerful. You have that in your hands. You're on the path to a great life. You know, much what I've tried to touch on today regards the heart. And your professors have done a wonderful job of focusing on your mind. You are so well prepared. And that leaves me with one final quote, one of my favorite quotes from Nelson Mandela. And that is, "An open heart, an open mind, or a formidable combination." One last thought, this one from our guardian angel Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life. Remember, no one is a failure who has friends. No one is a failure who has friends. So just before I sit down, I want you to take just a second. Look to your left. No, that's right, look to your left. Just kidding. Look to your right. Look over your shoulder. And just look around at the people who are gathered here today. Just take a second, soak it in. This is a moment, trust me, you will never forget. You will never pass this way again. You are soon to be graduates of the University of North Carolina. Izzy Zuma, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your day. I am so proud of each and every one of you.